Welcome to episode 135 of the weekly, or almost weekly, Concealed Taco Dudes podcast. Woo! Tonight we just have me, Taco.
Jason, Concealment Solutions.
We almost had Evan, but he might be in trouble for buying a 223 bolt action. So
he's been grounded.
His wife just found out, so I think it's a mandatory date night.
He had an easy out. It's my Father's Day present.
Yeah, that a couple weeks early. But,
that's all right.
Anyways, so we're happy to be here in the studio.
In the studio. Yep. Let's knock out some sponsors. NOE Bullet Molds at noebulletmolds.com.
Use coupon code FLT001. It'll save you 10%. And if you are local in Utah, then you may consider looking at his reloading powders in stock currently.
Yep. Didn't you say he's got some bullets available?
Yes. Okay, so he has quite a few things. I actually went around because he says, hey, check this out. And we walked down the aisles of the bullet molds, and I think he said they have like over $800,000 of inventory right now.
Oh my gosh.
So for all the people who say that, they never have anything.
And that's before the fuel surcharge.
Yes. So they've done a lot of bullet molds, and they have assembled them all. They used to have like a bunch of machined blocks that were waiting to be assembled. So everything is assembled in the store and on the shelves. So it is ready for sale. They Very also, cool. This was a request of Charlie Foxtrot. So Al did do a run of the taco bullets. Those are the 225 grain coated cast bullets for the 300 Blackout. So they are for sale. If you haven't got your casting gear set up yet and you still want to try those before you buy the mold, that is a possibility.
That's cool. Try it before you buy it.
Try before you buy. So
I like it.
He has those in stock. He has some other projectiles in stock too, but those were the ones that were specifically requested from listeners.
Nice. Very cool.
They also, I did a video yesterday, and this was about the little soda bottle adapter that NOE made. And this is for the people who are using either the bushing push-through sizing die or the Lee push-through sizing dies. And what it is it's a little adapter that screws onto a soda bottle, like a 2-liter soda bottle, and you put that on top of the die. So as you're sizing the bullets up, then you have like a huge reservoir, a 2-liter reservoir.
Catches everything?
Yes. Instead of the 2-piece Lee little bullet catcher container thing that if you fill it up too much, then it dumps them all out and it just makes a mess.
Gosh.
Yeah, I've done that like multiple times. So that is, to me, that's kind of a poor design. They could have put the smaller end on top instead of on the bottom. Yeah. Anyways, so that replaces that red container, and you can just set the 2-liter bottle on top of your die. And I show how it works in the video, so if you're curious about that, you can check it out. Those are only $9, and it's machined aluminum, so not bad for the price and everything.
Get them while they got them, because like next week it's going to be $18.
Yeah,
with everything's going up in price.
The cost of everything, yeah. Crazy. And in addition to those things that we mentioned, he has run a couple of designs in steel. So he's starting to run certain models of bullet molds in steel. And so I'll talk a little bit about that, a couple that I picked up when we get to what we did with guns. Okay. But all those things, check them out, noebulletmolds.com.
Very cool. We have Utah Airguns at utahairguns.com. They are the mecca for the airgun world.
Yes.
And I believe next week is the Rocky Mountain Airgun Challenge.
Oh, nice.
That is an international, and I am not exaggerating,
international affair.
It is. That's not even a little bit of an exaggeration. I think the guy who won the long-range precision stage, or whatever they called it, was one of the top center fire shooters in Russia.
Oh.
Yeah. And I believe he took home a check for $10,000.
Oh, nice.
Just for that event.
That is cool.
So, and they're giving away more money this year than they did last year. But anyway, check out Utah Airguns at utahairguns.com. Use the code AIRCANDY and you'll get free shipping I wonder how long. I wonder how much longer that's going to last.
With the way gas prices are going crazy. Yeah, shipping's nuts.
Take advantage while you can.
All right.
Black Ice Coatings, blackicecoatings.com. I need to go see.
I need to go too. I need to just take that hog hunter down and then just give it to him and say, do the flying pigs.
Yeah.
Pink flying pigs, and just get it done.
Yep.
But I've been so hesitant because I've been shooting 308 a lot lately.
Yeah.
And so but I think I'm at the point where I need to just reload a crap ton of 308.
Uh-huh.
So maybe I will, while my gun is getting coated, then I'll reload and then I'll shoot it again a lot.
Yeah, there you go. But anyway, check out Black Ice Coatings. Follow them on Instagram. I think they're on Facebook. I don't know.
Yeah, just Instagram's a way to...
Instagram, just the stuff they post they do some really, really fine work. So check them out. Call them up. Tell them you want it slickery.
Slickery.
That would be the Teflon coating that they do. So I had a mechanical issue with my single speed the other day.
The single action?
No, my bicycle.
Oh, your single speed, like your bike.
My single speed.
That's not gun related.
Well, it's Teflon related. The Teflon created the failure. So the bolts, everything, so my chain rings.
Everything was Teflon coated, so then it came loose.
The bolts were Teflon coated that bolt on the chain ring, and they all backed out, and my chain fell off. Luckily, I was at the top of the hill, so I more or less coasted down. But yeah, so I buffed the Teflon off all the threads and then put a little blue Loctite on them.
Yeah.
But while I was doing that, I'm inspecting my chain rings and everything. Dude, they look brand new. I mean, I don't put a ton of miles on that bike, but it's got at least 150 miles on it since I had him do that, and you can't see a mark on the chain rings.
That's cool.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
So just don't Teflon the threads on your bolts. Unless you want them to come out. Anyway, who else do we have?
Magholder.
Magholder.com. I think he's taken orders for 45 double stack stuff.
Mag holders,
Glocks, and I think even some 10 millimeters. I don't know. I haven't looked on it, and I haven't seen. Just
check. Go to magholder.com.
Ricky he's been tough to get with, as you can tell by his absence on the show for the last couple of months.
Yeah.
But anyway, go check them out. Use the coupon code Get in the Van. I have candy, and you'll save a chunk of change there.
Yes, indeed.
And then Concealment Solutions at concealmentsolutions.com. One-stop holster shop. I've been selling a ton of chest rigs. Chest rigs and drop legs. Yeah. I think summer is like everyone... It's funny. Summer comes and people do one of two things. They either go tactical and open, or they want all inside the waistband stuff.
Really?
Yeah. It's one extreme
because you
or the
made
other.
some drop legs. So drop legs and the chest rigs.
Those have been what I've, at least in the last couple of weeks, I've been building more of those than anything else. Other than air tank caddies for the Rocky Mountain Airgun Challenge.
Oh yeah, did you make a ton of those?
They ordered 20 of them a week ago.
Nice.
I just finished them, but I ran out of my stickers. So sorry, you're not getting them till they got my stickers on them.
Yeah.
But those are supposed to be here tomorrow.
I need to pick up one of those for my brother.
I know.
It's the funny thing is you don't realize how handy they are, like once you have one.
Right.
Until you have a tank that doesn't have it, and you can't stand it up.
It's the dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's like it has a round bottom.
Yeah,
it won't stand. Yeah, it's
and they're expensive, so you don't want to just
when you want to protect it
kicking around in the dirt and stuff.
So anyways,
anyway, doing a Father's Day sale, and I'm starting it. Actually, by the time you get this, the Father's Day sale will be in motion. So go check that out. Save you some money. Get Dad something that he'll actually use because he doesn't want another tie.
Actually, I could probably use another tie.
My wife used to buy me ties, and I'm like, why? I hate ties. I'm like, all I need is one. If I have more than one, you don't need to buy me any more.
Yeah.
Anyway, Concealment Solutions at concealmentsolutions.com. And that's our sponsors. Let's do a news story.
Okay.
We'll do a news story, then we'll do what we did with guns. This one, when I read the headline, I had one picture in my head. And then I read the story, and it wasn't anything like that.
All right. I'm
this
on
one,
the edge of my chair.
Yeah. So, yeah. There was a lot wrong here on both sides of the story. Anyway, headline. A man who was open carrying an AR-15 style
I read that
rifle
story
at a Missouri supermarket had his firearm stolen at gunpoint, according to police. So
this story has a lot of weird stuff.
It's very, very weird. Yeah.
And I don't know if part of it's just the reporter, how they wrote it, or like
the reporters nowadays they don't know how to write.
Yeah,
they really don't.
Okay, continue.
Okay, so guys casually open carrying his AR-15 at the grocery store. Why wouldn't you? I wouldn't, but
yeah, I don't. Okay, open carry handgun makes sense to me. Like if you want to, it's like okay.
I don't do it.
Open carrying a rifle, I think it's more of
it's a little more threatening.
Well, it's like you really you frighten some people, right? Whereas they might not be.
It's a little more intimidating
because it's not normal. That's the thing.
And it's not in a holster or in a place that makes it feel more secure and safe. Yeah.
But I do acknowledge that is a right.
Yep.
And
for sure.
So.
But just because you can doesn't mean that you should.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
It's not for me, but I'm not offended if someone else does. I will say, if I see someone walking around with an AR-15 at a mall, I will probably be avoiding that person and that area. That's the first thing I'll think about is like...
It's time to leave.
Time to go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
open carrying his AR in a supermarket. Then, in a surprising twist... So I don't know. When I printed this off, it didn't print everything. Because I read through it, and then I printed it, and it's missing some things. I think he had an accomplice that came up behind the guy with the AR, put a gun to his head. They stole his jacket. Must have been a nice jacket. And his AR.
Oh, I didn't read the part about stealing his jacket.
Yeah. So then, in a surprising twist, he retrieved another gun from his vehicle. So the AR-15
he took his AR.
Which I'm thinking, why wasn't it on your hip? But yeah, he had his AR, so he didn't need it. Wrong. So he runs to his car, gets another gun, and opened fire on the man accused of robbing him. Said police on Facebook.
The Facebook police?
Yeah, the Facebook police. Officers responded on May 27th after a call for shots fired at Wellston Food Market in St. Louis, Missouri. Officers said the man had been carrying his rifle around the supermarket in a non-threatening manner. Okay. When he stepped out of the store, a 31-year-old man held a pistol to the back of his head. Okay, that's where it is. Mm-hmm. He then stole the victim's jacket and gun, the probable cause statement said. After giving the rifle up, police said the victim grabbed another gun he had in his car and opened fire on the accused robber. A shootout ensued, police said, during which two bystanders, both women, were struck. That's not cool.
Yeah.
The injuries were not life-threatening, so thank goodness for that. Still, I was grocery shopping and I got shot. That's not okay.
Yeah.
The victim fled with his rifle while the accused robber, who had been shot several times, remained on the scene. This is where it gets really weird.
Yeah, I thought this part was...
A third man then also shot him. So the guy gets his gun stolen. He goes to his car, grabs another gun. They have a shootout. The guy that stole his rifle is hit multiple times, and I'm assuming is down because he goes over, grabs his rifle, and he books it. He's gone. He's out of there. And I can't blame him for that. That wasn't the right thing to do, but I can't blame him for doing it in the heat of the moment, you know. But And then apparently somebody else comes wandering by, and dude on the ground full of bullet holes, and he shoots him.
I think maybe in the shootout,
maybe
another person had shot him.
Probably, but that's not the way it sounded.
I know
the way
they wrote it is really bad. But yeah, they see a guy all shot up on the ground
because it says the victim fled with his rifle.
That's the victim. That's
the guy whose gun was stolen. He retrieved it and fled, while the accused robber, who had been shot several times, remained on the scene. A third man then also shot him.
Yeah. I bet you it's like bad reporting.
It is.
But it does sound bad.
Our people don't know how to write.
Someone walks up. Hey, are you the guy who stole the gun?
Yeah.
Pop, pop.
Yeah, exactly. The accused robber is charged with armed criminal action, first-degree robbery, and 2 counts each of unlawful use of a weapon and unlawful possession of a firearm. His cash-only bond was set at $500,000. Yeah.
The article that I read, it said that he was a prohibited person.
Because that makes sense. That's why he's trying to steal.
He was a felon, and I think he is on probation or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I read that, and I was like, man, this is written really weird.
They all are.
Yeah.
If you're a reporter, just take a night class in English writing, please.
Or just reread it to somebody. Or have someone reread your article to you.
Yeah.
And see if it makes sense.
Yeah. Because most of them are like that. Most of them have something like that that's like, wait, I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, yeah, so interesting.
So do we want to go over some listener feedback?
Sure.
Okay. These ones were responses to the Jason's Ramblings episode.
Oh,
okay.
Well, this will be interesting.
So this one is from Jeremy in Montana. He says, Jason, thanks, well said, and it's good to hear a voice that sounds so much like what I've been thinking. I'm not looking for an echo chamber, but would like people to think and articulate how they really feel about an issue, not just take the side they think is that they should be on. I operate very much the same way as you politically and see the lack of critical thought on issues. Very much a pick-a-side society right now. I think that there are more of us around than we know. The loud voices like to shout people down, so many stay quiet as a result. Don't feel apologetic for your episode. Many folks feel just the same, so I wanted to affirm your stance that you took. Hope there are many more responses like mine. Thanks, sincerely, Jeremy in Montana.
Sweet. Well, thanks, Jeremy. That was... And I have not listened to the episode since I recorded it. And it was just kind of stream of consciousness. I had a lot of notes and everything because I had some very specific things that I wanted to talk about. But really that podcast was not specifically directed towards our traditional listeners.
Yeah.
It was kind of... And so I was curious how you guys were going to take it that way also. But... I feel like would be a good one if you've got friends or family members that are maybe anti-gun or maybe on the fence or maybe have some misconceptions about things. This might be something that you could offer to them and just say, hey, you should listen to this episode of this podcast. And, it's a different perspective. This all came, I had a relative post something on Instagram about the shooting in Texas, and made some very, and I probably took more offense than I probably should have, but basically every stereotype that the liberal side puts on us was put on me.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, and I wasn't named, but I knew who they were talking about, and I just thought, I could get really angry and just throw a bunch of facts back and everything. I sent this person an email, a direct email. I'm like, I'm not responding to this post. I'm not making this a public thing. This is between me and them. And I was very respectful, and it was epically long. And it only scratched the surface of a lot of what I wanted to say. But after I wrote that and sent it, I thought, you know what? I need to do more than just that, because there's a lot of people that feel exactly the way my relative does that are just not informed. And I'm not trying to change anybody's mind or anybody's opinion. It's just, hey, if you want to be well informed on a subject, on a whatever, whatever topic or issue, you've got to be able to openly listen to both sides.
Yeah, you have to be able to articulate your thoughts and also back up your thoughts with rational facts.
Yeah.
Meaning.
Yeah, and so that's more or less what I was trying to do with this person, and it didn't change the way I feel about them, but I just felt like, wow, this person is so entrenched in what the media is saying.
Oh, yeah.
And they're lying to all of us about everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't care what side they're sitting on, anyway, I don't need to rehash all of that,
yeah.
but that, it was me more or less venting. So I'm glad at least one person got something out of it.
Okay, we got another one. This one is from Byron Y. And he says, Jason, major kudos to you for putting yourself out there this episode. I happen to agree with you and be aligned with you on just about everything you said. I'm a Christian attending the Cross Church in Wiley, Texas, but I, too, don't vote down straight party lines.
Awesome.
And I agree with that, although I have found that is like I haven't found a Democrat that I would vote for yet.
I have voted for Democrats in the past. Not very often, and it's mostly very local stuff as opposed to the really big stuff.
It's hard, though, because it's at least in our area or whatever, it's hard to find a Democrat who supports the Second Amendment. It's
true.
It's
true.
That's tough.
And it's probably been a while since I voted for a Democrat. I don't keep track of all this stuff, but I go in and I vote for the people that I think are gonna. Well, I used to go in and vote for the people that I thought were going to do the best job. Now I vote for the person who is the least turd. I mean, our options, it's like, I'm not voting for the best person. I'm voting for the least bad person. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what party they represent. That's just how it is.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to get involved on the local politics, because that's where, you have more control over what happens. And
hopefully. Yeah.
Get to know your politicians.
I'm seeing less and less and more of politicians being politicians and doing what's best for them and their crew. Yeah. As opposed to the people they're supposed to be representing.
Yeah.
But
anyways, he continues and says a few more things, but then he says, love the podcast, Taco's channel, and continue to pray for Mark and Carl.
Awesome.
So thanks for that. We have another one, and this is from Roger I, and he's Trucker Dale from Arizona. Anyways, his email is really long, so I'm probably going to paraphrase some stuff. Sorry.
That's okay.
But he says, hey, Jason, thank you for your podcast. I have a few thoughts to some ramblings you had. Crime still happened in the 40s and 50s. You didn't hear about it all because it took time to get the news out. TVs weren't in every household back then. We didn't have a 24-hour news channel. Mm-hmm. Plus, minority crimes went unreported.
That is all very true, and I know I kind of skated over talking about the difference between the 40s and 50s to now. And there's always been crime. There always will be. I mean,
and then he says you got to take your gun to school. Could a black kid do the same?
I don't know.
That is a legitimate question.
It is. It is. And there's and I touched. Well, I didn't really touch on it, but I did mention the issues with racial inequality and stuff like that, and steered everybody to our episode with Ken Blanchard, the black man with the gun. It was. I didn't have time to get into everything.
Yeah, no, there's way too much to cover.
Yeah.
But, and, he also says the patriotism we had back then was due to America just winning World War II, and the value of the dollar was high. You can't force patriotism by making people say words to a piece of cloth. Sounds like what China would force people to do. So I assume that he's talking about the Pledge of Allegiance.
I mentioned the Pledge of Allegiance, and I mentioned in that episode that, we can't say the Pledge of Allegiance in public schools anymore. And I was talking with the young men in our church group about that, and they all looked at me and they're like, "We do in our school." And I'm like, "Are you going to a private school?" "No, they go to the same junior high school my son does." And I looked at Ian, I'm like, "You guys say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'm surprised they haven't been sued." So that made me happy to hear that. And you're right. I don't think anybody should be forced to say the Pledge of Allegiance. No. I don't agree with that at all.
I think it should be an opportunity.
I do too.
It's something that people can do if they want, not if they don't want to.
Yeah.
But
I don't have, if somebody doesn't want to say it for whatever reason, that's their right.
Yeah. And then he also says I guess you talked about God and religion and stuff.
Oh, quite a lot.
Yeah, so he says the quote, "Pick a God, doesn't matter which one," quote, "sounded bad, but after thinking about it, I get what you were trying to say. I agree parents should be more involved in their children's lives. We should get children involved in healthy activities. That's why I'm proud that you guys take children shooting in your youth groups." Mm-hmm. So,
yeah.
And
I knew that was gonna maybe ruffle some feathers, but maybe I didn't articulate it well enough in the podcast. But if people have religion, and it doesn't matter what religion it is, if people have religion and have some sort of faith, they act differently.
Yeah.
And the way they act is not evil. Okay? Now, and I know people are right there talking, what about these Muslims and da-da-da? There are extremist groups in every organization, and I'm not talking about those people.
Yeah. All right. And then he says some other stuff, but to cut it short, he ends with, "I'm a veteran, a Republican, a father, an atheist, and I am married to a devout Christian woman who is a Democrat."
Oh my gosh!
And
you are a brave man!
And he says, "May your God bless you all."
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
You know what? And it doesn't bother me that you're atheist. I think that's...
Yeah, no, it's a right that you have.
It's a right that you have. I just feel like things were different when more people were religious.
Yeah.
Regardless of what that religion was.
I agree. All right, and then the last one is from Kevin C., and he says, "Thanks for your solo podcast. I don't agree with all your points, but agree with a lot."
Fair. I didn't expect...
Short and to the point.
I didn't expect everybody to... Actually, I didn't expect anybody to agree with all my points.
Yeah.
That's why there was a disclaimer at the beginning of that podcast. I wanted to make sure everybody understood that this was just me. I didn't run this by anybody, okay? Nobody knew I was doing this. My sponsors didn't know, or our sponsors. None of the other cast knew. That was solely my thoughts and how I was feeling at the time, and how I still feel. So
yeah. All right, let's move on to what we did with guns, which will roll into our topic. Yeah, you go ahead and go first.
I have been too busy to do much with guns other than wrap kydex around them, which I have been doing a lot of. But I have a neighbor down the street that has been doing some work on my bathroom, and we were
bathrooms don't have anything to do with guns. Sorry, Jason.
This one does.
All right, I'm listening.
Anyway, he's a gun guy. He uses my stuff. We were talking about things, and he's like, I have this gun that I'd really like to trade or do something with it and just get something I'll use more. And I was like, okay. I'm like, what do you got? And he's like, it's an old Colt revolver. And I'm like, you have my interest. I'm not much of a revolver guy, but if you have an old Colt that you want to trade off for something that you'll shoot, I am very interested. And he's like, well, I'll go get it. And he's like, it's only worth like a couple $100, $200-300. And I'm like, I don't believe you. An old Colt?
Well, it depends on the model.
Right. And so he goes and he grabs it. It is well worn. It's got a beautiful worn patina on it. Okay, used a lot. It was manufactured in 1899, I believe it was. It is a Colt New Army 41.
41
caliber.
Like 41 mag?
No, 41.
Oh.
I don't think it was a mag, but it doesn't say Magnum or anything like that. That was before Magnum even existed.
So did you?
So I'm looking at it. And he's like, "What?" He's like, "Just take it and look at it and see what you think." And so I did some research. I sent pictures to Gene. And he got a little excited. Where'd you get that old thing? and we talked about it, and he helped me look up because it was hard to find. Like the serial number was really hard to read and everything. There's some pitting in the barrel. Pretty sure the timing is not what it should be. I meant to bring it.
Is it pretty loose? Like it doesn't lock up super tight?
It doesn't lock up super tight. Okay. No. Yeah. And so it's like a $200-$300 gun tops.
Yeah.
So I still kind of want it, but we'll see. We have some trading ahead of us.
Yeah. You'll have to see if you could, when Gene is in town.
Yeah.
Give it to him just to look at it to see if it's safe to shoot, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, because it would be fun to shoot it.
Oh yeah.
I mean it's cool. And
if it's
got ivory handles. I don't know if they're real ivory. They're probably plastic. I don't know. I can't tell. But it's got the pearl handles, I guess I should say.
Okay.
If nothing else, I would love to make a shadow box for it and hang it on the wall and
have a wall hanger.
It would be super cool like that. And I've already thought about how I want to build the thing. It'll be so you can open it and take it out if you want, so you can handle it. It's not just a showpiece.
Yeah.
But that was all I did. I was a little more hopeful that he was going to come out with like an old Colt Python or something.
Nah.
that would have been that might have been worse because I'd have been like, there's no way I can afford that.
Yeah. Well.
Even if he was like, yeah, I don't think it's worth more than a couple $100. If it was something like that, I'd have been like, dude, you're wrong. And
I'll trade you an AR for that.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, he'd done his research and he wasn't 100% like on what he found, whether it was accurate or not. But everything I looked up was exactly what he had found also. So, it wasn't the diamond in the rough I was hoping for.
It was a rusty nail in the rough.
Yeah, but a cool one.
Yeah,
cool nonetheless. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's about all I did.
Okay, I've done like a ton of stuff with guns.
No way.
So I'm just gonna kind of skim over some of it so we can have time to talk about the topic. But in my hands, I have 2 new bullet molds that are made out of steel. These are the NOE bullet molds, and one of them is a 454 255. So it's a 45 Colt semi-wad cutter. Bullet mold, and it's got a little bit of a bevel in the base. So that's kind of cool for progressive loading. But I will be casting zinc bullets with that mold. And I will have a very fast shooting lightweight
Colt?
zinc bullet. Yeah, I think that'll be really cool. And I've got like 3 different lever guns in 45 Colt.
Oh, cool.
And that will be for as much fun as I had with the 44 mag in the lever gun. I think 45 Colt will be similar.
Yeah.
So. And the other one, I'm kind of excited about this. This is like fresh off the mill or whatever, the machines.
Yeah.
This is the HTC 225-60-RN. So it would normally cast a 60 grain 225 diameter bullet with a round nose. Grooveless. This one is definitely going to have some zinc flowing through it. And the idea with this one is that if it does cast the zinc bullets at 225, that would be like perfect for not sizing it. Just cast them, load them, shoot them, and that seems that would be really cool.
Yeah. And
I really, after a friend of mine borrowed some steel targets and did a little bit of damage to them. Yeah, it's always a bummer because it's like you don't want to say anything, but at the same time you're like, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Steel ain't cheap.
Yeah. And so, he took his brother or friend, and he was a really bad shot. And they hit the center post of my dueling tree, with their 223.
Oh,
and just
why
put
were they
these-
shooting a 223 at
I don't
it?
know. I told them like 100 yards, but I don't think they had a rangefinder, and I think they very much underestimated.
So it was like 100 steps.
Yeah, something like that. So I want to get a load with this zinc bullet. It's probably, if it's a 60 grain, it'll come out at like, what, 40 grains-ish? Something like that. And something that will cycle an AR and, you know, hopefully not shoot super high velocity. And then I'm hoping I can get something that, you know, just shatters on the steel and doesn't damage the steel plates.
I gotcha.
So you could shoot it at like, hopefully maybe like 50 yards without damaging steel. Because that would be a game changer for like AR-15 practice.
Yeah.
You know, if you have training, like if you have a red dotted AR-15, EOTech, something like that, then if you had something that you could shoot that would cycle the action, feed reliably, and not damage the steel, that'd be perfect. So that will be in the works. I'm super busy this summer, so we'll see.
Yeah.
It might have to wait till fall. I don't know.
Who isn't right now?
Yeah, maybe I'll get a burst of energy one of the nights after work, and then just heat up the zinc pot and start pouring. But I did that, and then I did some bullet casting with lead. I helped a kid came over, and he wanted to learn about bullet casting, and so I helped him.
Just some kid off the street?
Well, he's a neighbor kid. He's not a kid. He's, I think, 19, so he's an adult.
He's a kid.
He's a kid, yeah, compared to us old guys.
Yeah.
But anyways, he's really into guns, and he wanted to, you know, learn how to do stuff, cast, and so I helped him cast, coat, size, and then load and shoot all in. Now, normally you want to like have a little bit of hardening time for the lead,
right?
But the powder coating helps with that, and it's pistol ammo, so it's okay. It's not as bad to shoot it before it's, you know, cured and hardened. But he did it all within a week. Went out and shot, and I let him borrow my steel targets too, and he brought them back undamaged, which was
good.
very nice. Then we talked about different calibers, like 300 blackout and, you know, 9mm pistol caliber carbines. Why they're so cool is because you can shoot and practice at closer distances, you know, closer than 100 yards, and use coated cast bullets, and just, you know, the lead splats, and you don't get ricochets, you don't get the what do you call it, the spalling or whatever coming back at you, like the jackets.
Yeah.
So
I caught a jacket in my lip once.
Yeah.
It wasn't pleasant.
I think I did too.
Yeah.
It's not fun getting that little chip in your lip.
This was a pretty big piece.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did it stick, or just did it bounce off?
It embedded. I had to peel it out of my bottom lip.
Bummer. So that was a cool thing, and because he had a week before he was going to do summer sales, and so now I got him like started with the bullet casting, reloading, and casting, you know, shooting cast bullets.
And in a couple months, he's going to have thousands of
dollars to buy a pistol caliber carbine. So I let him borrow a couple of my guns to when he was shooting. I was like, yeah, take this out. I let him borrow my AKV, the Palmetto, like AK 9mm, and as well as one of my 9mm ARs. And I said, you will want to buy one of these after you shoot steel with one of these. And now he does.
Nice.
So he sees the value in that.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'll make it big, selling solar or
pest control.
I think it's solar.
Solar.
So,
all right.
Yeah, I helped him do that. And then now I did this awesome thing. I have been wanting to go on, like, you know, a prairie dog hunt or ground squirrel hunt for like forever.
Sure.
I've been like trying to figure out ways to do it, and I finally got to go through my brother and his in-laws.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, my brother was asking about, you know, what guns to bring and stuff, and then I told him, I said, hey, you know, I kind of invited myself. I said, hey, if it's okay, if I can go with you, then I will bring a gun for you to shoot and a gun for your son to shoot, and then I will bring enough silencers to suppress everybody's guns who goes. and so then he asked his father-in-law, and yeah, it's totally cool. they're happy to have me. And that was the first time they had like shooting guns with suppressors and stuff.
Right.
And it was a game changer.
Nice.
So for the topic today, we kind of wanted to talk about that trip that I went on, squirrel hunting trip, and talk about a couple things that I learned, equipment I had that performed well, and then equipment that I so much wish I had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the location we went to was a private property out in Colorado. Thousands and thousands of acres of these like rolling green hills and mountains. This was some of the most beautiful land I've been at.
Wow.
We saw deer just everywhere. Deer, antelope. I think that was one of the first times I've seen like antelope just running around.
Oh, really?
And
I see them out in the desert here all the time.
Yeah, these ones were everywhere.
Yeah.
Like
cool.
Like driving down the dirt road, you'd see like you'd spook them and they'd have to jump some fences and stuff.
Right.
But I also saw like a fox den with all these like baby foxes like sitting out, and got a couple pictures of that.
Cool.
I had never seen foxes, in the wild. So that was.
I've seen a couple foxes,
but it was cool. Yeah. I saw these babies. And,
that's cool.
That were like pups or whatever they're called, kits. Is that?
Or they? Yeah.
Yes, whatever. Like young ones that were just out playing outside their den. Huh. And bald eagle,
very cool.
badgers. Anyways, it was just beautiful. Saw all this wildlife that was amazing.
And then you went on a murder spree.
And then I went on a murder spree. And so this place I went to, they also have like a cattle ranch, or it's kind of like a combination of cattle ranch / hunting ranch.
Okay.
Where some
hunting
of the
preserve.
Well, yeah, they have some mountains that the higher elevation where the elk go up, and so they have elk, deer, and like a billion antelope.
Right.
But even more ground squirrels. And talking with one of the guys at the ranch, it was interesting because I think they had tried some type of poison, but it's
scary.
like it's hard to do it effectively.
Well, yeah,
and
you can't pick a poison that's just going to kill the ground squirrels.
Yeah, it just it's tricky. But what happens, one of the problems is, and looking from above and seeing the landscape of rolling hills, you can tell which hills had the ground squirrels and which ones didn't, because the ground got all messed up. It's like, it looks all splotchy with all the dirt mounds, and they dig the holes. And what happens too is they move in and kind of ruin the landscape, and then the badgers come to feed off of those, and they dig big holes because the badgers are fatties.
Oh yeah, they are.
And so those holes are really big and deep, and it's something where the cattle, like if it steps in that, then you could have some problems with that.
Right.
So it's a pest, and we were doing pest control. So
it was your summer sales?
That was my summer sales. I offered pest control for free.
Nice.
And quite effectively. But in the overall picture, probably not as effective as they would want.
Sure.
But it is a really good practice shooting those ground squirrels.
Oh, I bet.
And so I think a lot of people call them prairie dogs, but they're not prairie dogs.
No, prairie dogs are much bigger than ground squirrels.
These are, I mean, they got nicknames. In Utah, they call them pot guts, whistle pigs, something rodent. Like they have a lot of different names, but they're not prairie dogs, because I think some prairie dogs are like a protected species.
Could be,
Depending or they have a season or something.
Yeah.
But these ones are like a plague.
Yes.
So, anyways, we had these targets, these moving targets, and so they kind of run around, and then they stand up, and then they got that white belly that, when the sun shines on
target.
it, it helps you see them from far away. The gun I chose to bring, and this was off a recommendation of, the father-in-law, my brother's father-in-law was 17. He said 17 HMR was the way to go. They had tried 22s, and just the shots you take at that location, you kind of go from shooting spot to drive off to another spot to another spot, and rotate around and just try and eradicate as many as you can.
Right.
But the 22s, it will do the job, right?
Right.
But
I don't think you have the accuracy with most 22 ammunition that you can get with a 17.
Yeah, and so with the velocity, so the 17 HMR shoots about 2,500 feet per second, and so that's way faster than like say a 22, which is about 1,000 or 1,200 feet per second, somewhere around that. And so and the bullets are way higher quality. You know, 22 ammo, a lot of it is like, is a little stubby brown.
Kind of hit or miss whether it's going to cycle right.
Yeah. So 22 does work okay, but...
And there is good quality 22 ammo out there. It's just the rarity.
Yeah, just the bulk ammo that you get is not great. Whereas I haven't really shot like crappy 17 HMR ammo.
Yeah.
And
it's just a different standard.
Yeah, so I took, for myself, it was my CZ 457.
Nice.
And it is in a chassis. It has a heavy barrel. And I don't think it was factory threaded. I think I might have threaded it.
Okay.
Taken it to a place to get threaded. And I ran a Saker 5.56 can on it, which was probably overkill and it's heavy.
Yeah.
And with the LSS, I think it's the LSS Rimfire chassis from MDT. And, adjustable stock and everything.
You were lugging a tank around?
I was lugging a tank around, which wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't bad.
Oh, okay.
The bull barrel, I did like having because with how many shots you're shooting, when you get to a new area and they are just running around everywhere, you're just trying to shoot those things as fast as you can. So that was... it was good. Very accurate rifle. The scope I had on it was the Athlon Argos BTR Gen 2. That one worked well, but if I were to, optics-wise, if I were to redo it, I would throw my very best scope on that rifle temporarily for the hunt. And the reason being is that looking through a scope all day long for multiple days and trying to also, you're scanning for targets, you have eye fatigue
for sure.
And the sun being out, I don't know what it was, like if it was allergy, because you're walking through this grassy stuff too, so a combination of maybe allergies, eye fatigue, sunburn on my eyes, I don't know. But my eyes were bloodshot by the end of the first day. And then the second day, they were already bloodshot, so they just got worse. But I would take the best glass I have and with really decent magnification. Some of the shots, I had a no-scope shot that was just, he was like 10 feet away. He popped out of a hole right in front of me, and so I held my gun up and popped him without looking through the scope. So that was probably the closest one. And the farthest one was probably a little over 200 yards.
Wow.
So when you're taking that range of shots, 10 feet to, 200, then the extra magnification definitely helped. And the glass I had wasn't horrible, but at the highest magnification, it's not super clear, which is okay for if you're going out and shoot for a little bit or whatever.
Right.
But when you're looking through it all day long, man, I just wish I would have had a better scope on it.
Yeah.
So next time, if I go again,
sure,
I will put my very best scope on there. I think I have like a Razor HD.
Right.
I will put that on there.
Okay.
And weight won't be as much of a problem, just because of you kind of walk to an area or drive to an area, set up, shoot, walk a little bit, set up, shoot, walk a little bit, set up and shoot, and then drive to a new location.
Okay.
So the weight wasn't as much of a problem. Now, we went into this not knowing exactly what gear, because I'd never done it before.
Right.
And so I brought a monopod, and I brought a bipod that was like, I'm not sure the length, maybe like, I don't know, 2 feet or something.
Okay.
It's long enough that if you're sitting down, you can shoot flat, right? Or if you're shooting downhill, it's tall enough if you sit like cross-legged on the ground.
Right.
Not my favorite way to do that.
Yeah.
So the monopod was worthless because it's in the wind, everything. It's too hard to hold the monopod steady.
Okay.
And if you're taking a shot at 200 yards,
what kind of You're not talking about anything that is fixed to the gun. You're talking about one of those shooting sticks.
Shooting sticks,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the bipod ended up working out better for me, even though I had to bend over and like I got a crook in my neck after doing that for 8 hours or however.
Was
long
that attached to the gun?
It was attached to the gun. So
you just had some long legs on it?
Yes.
Okay.
And I just had to, if I had to shoot uphill, it was really hard because I had to really bend over trying to get under. And then I also shortened the bipod and then laid and shot prone for a bit. But there were these sticker weeds that got all over my stomach and just not the ideal method.
Yeah.
What some of the other guys had was, so the next step up, the better way to do it is to have one of those adjustable tripods.
Yes, that has a clamp for your gun.
Well, that was the ultimate way. Right?
Yeah.
And so
for sure, those ain't cheap.
Yeah, they're actually not too bad. Some of them.
I guess the ones that I've been looking at Utah Airguns.
Yeah, those are like crazy nice.
Yeah.
But the ones, a really inexpensive one, relatively inexpensive, is the Bog Death Grip.
Okay.
And they make one in aluminum and they make one in carbon fiber.
Okay.
And so the aluminum one is like $150.
That's totally worth it.
$30, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the other one is
carbon fiber.
I think it's like
three times.
Well, it's like $200 or around 220, 200, somewhere around there.
Well, that's not much of a difference.
Yeah,
carbon fiber is way worth it.
So I think I would probably buy a carbon fiber one and do that
for $50-$60 more.
So the guy who had that, the carbon fiber Bog Death Grip. Man, because you just shoot standing up, and then if you want to sit down, you have a little chair and you shorten it to the chair height, but it's steady enough that you can. He was killing it.
Oh, I bet.
He had a good setup and he was killing it. I was competing really well with my crappy setup of a long bipod with me hunched over.
Right.
But
have you seen? I don't know if it's made by FX or I think it's made by one of the airgun companies. But it's a chair that doesn't have any legs on it, so it's like one of those stadium chair looking things.
Oh yeah.
So it folds and it has a little backrest, a little seat, and then it has a gun rest out in front of it.
Yeah.
So you're sitting on the ground with the gun rest right there in front of you. I don't know how well that would have worked in that situation. Because you're kind of stuck, pointed in one direction.
My brother's father-in-law. We went to the local ranch and home store.
Right.
And he found one of those. It was made by the Bog company.
Okay.
And it basically had their Death Grip vise built into, like an arm built into this chair that had had these foldable legs or something.
Okay.
And he put that in the back of his truck, so he had like an eagle eye view.
Sitting in the back of the truck.
Yeah,
nice.
He was in the back of the truck on a chair with that thing, and he was making some long shots with that. Like, I
bet.
200 yards, 250.
Nice.
And a lot of the squirrels were like that spring, the springs babies that were probably teenagers now.
So you're killing babies.
We were killing babies, and they're really small.
Yeah.
And so it was good practice, and it was they're hard targets.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And so, anyways,
what other kind of equipment was there something that you brought that was like, this was perfect?
Okay, you need to bring sunscreen.
Oh gosh.
Luckily I tanned pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I felt the burn the first day, and then I got some sunscreen and mosquito repellent, and that helped out.
Huh.
But when I was laying prone one of the times, like I could feel the ground moving all around my arm, but I was getting on target on this one. So I gotta get the shot. Finally, I can't remember if I did shoot, but I had to lift up my arm, and there's like 5 ants curled over, biting my arm.
Oh gosh!
Just biting and biting.
Because you laid in their home.
It wasn't on an ant hill, but it was close enough that they got mad. So
yeah.
So definitely Like the tripod is the way to go.
Yeah.
And even with the one I borrowed a tripod for, I borrowed my brother's tripod while he was gassing up his air gun. And anyways,
was that the only air gun there?
There were 2 air guns. Okay. Only one of them got used.
Okay.
So my brother brought his and his son's.
Okay.
And so
how did he fare with the air gun?
Now the air gun was interesting because he did not lag behind on kills due to having an air gun.
Okay.
The disadvantages he had were a couple of the flat areas that we were shooting. They tended to be like longer distance shots.
Okay.
And so
it just doesn't have the distance.
It doesn't. You just have to learn the drop. But we had some gusty wind come in.
Oh, okay.
And so the wind gust will blow those pellets quite a bit.
They're a lot lighter and they're not moving as fast. So
they're not aerodynamic. They're not moving.
Right.
The 17 is moving like way faster.
Right.
And so that's where he had the disadvantage. But the advantages he had were magazine capacity, like those little FX magazines. Yeah. Like how many do they fit? Like
you're the one with 2 FXs.
I know. Well, I never count. I just load it up when it's empty. But my CZ, I bought the extended mag, and that was only 10 rounds. So it's a 5-round regular mag, and so I had 2 10-rounders.
10 rounds is the extended?
Yeah, it's kind of lame.
It is.
And then I brought for my brother, but he ended up letting his son use it. But it was Noah's 17 HMR. It was the Ruger Precision Rimfire.
Oh, nice.
And now that gun actually performed quite well. It had just a basic Vortex Diamondback, not the Diamondback Tactical, but just a Diamondback scope. I think it might have been a 4-12 or something similar.
Okay.
And that kid, he was on fire, hitting far targets too. So, with some of the guys had Tikas, and I had the CZ. All these cost a little bit more.
Yeah.
And one guy had a Savage. They all shot pretty good, but I was surprised with the performance of the Ruger Precision Rimfire. Yeah.
And his mags
were the best because they held like 15 rounds of 17, and I had like 5 mags. But yeah,
they don't have the 25 rounders.
I don't think so. Not for the 17. But if they did, I would probably buy one.
I mean, I've got a couple for the 1022s.
Yeah. So that gun worked really well, and he used a tripod with that. But in that short period when I used the tripod, it was like it allowed me. The grass was a little bit taller, so it allowed me to get better vision than when I'm sitting down with the bipod. So I was able to see more. But I will say, I got quite a few headshots on those little squirrels because that's the only part I could see sticking out of the grass when I was, sitting down with the bipod. And anyways,
very cool.
It's also weird because those things they eat grass. They're herbivores. Yeah. But then, like, you shoot one, and then the buddy will come over and
start eating it.
Yeah, he's like, hey, snack.
Yeah.
And so I shot one. And then another came over and started nibbling on him. I shot him. I had a pile of 5 of them, all just like because they were eating each other. It's kind of gross.
That is sick. Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say you need a good hat too.
Yeah.
A hat that can cover your ears, your neck, if you can. I used my little Stetson adventure hat that I always wear for everything. And Carly my wife said that I had a funny sunburn that went like just above my eyebrows. Yeah. So my forehead was white, but
I'm either wearing a hat or a helmet, and so my forehead is always pasty white, and everything below it is nice and tan.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but so having a good hat, sunscreen, bug spray. So those are good things.
So after this experience, what's the first piece of equipment you're going to buy?
I'm going to buy a tripod.
Okay.
I will buy a tripod.
Okay.
I'm probably going to buy 2 tripods because if Noah can go next year or whatever, then I want him to like have something good. I'll probably get the cheaper one that you just pull the trigger. Is it Primos? I think Primos or something like that. They make a decent one that's just a lightweight adjustable tripod.
Okay.
That's fast. And then I'll probably buy one of those bog death grips.
I'm going to go home and look those up. I haven't seen the bogs.
I have them in my Amazon cart right now. But I don't have the money for it yet.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I probably need to sell something. But going back to the airgun thing, the question you asked, he had the advantage of good optics. So he built his just like mine.
Oh.
And so he got what do you call it? The scope, the Razor.
Razor HD,
like the LHT or whatever, the lightweight hunter scope, the 3-15. The glass is really clear on that, and he could look through it all day. It gave enough magnification, the 15 power. It was enough.
Would you go higher?
I would go higher.
Okay.
But like I said, I'll probably bring my Razor HD scope, and it'll be way too fat and heavy on that gun, but I'll be able to look through it all day.
But it'll be in a tripod.
Yeah. That, or maybe like the PST that's 4.5 to whatever, 4.5 to 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or 5 to 25. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
But that one has pretty good glass too. One of the guys actually had that on his 17.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he had gone the previous year. He knew.
He's already learned.
Yeah, the arms race, he's leading the charge.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Very
so
cool.
the air gun though that my brother was using, he was able to take shots that.
And what caliber?
It's the 22. Yeah.
Okay. What pellets was he shooting?
The Hades.
The Hades.
Yeah,
yeah.
we bought
a case of
a
them?
sleeve each.
Yeah.
So
nice.
that we'd be prepared for all the summer stuff.
Those are my favorite.
They are, and it's funny because it makes that one sound, that kind of like a popping thud sound.
Yeah.
And when you get a hit, so everyone knows when you get it, you get a hit. But the other thing that was interesting is I brought suppressors for everybody. So all the threaded rifles got 22 suppressors that could handle 17 HMR.
Yeah.
And I think one of the best sounding suppressors, because I have like a lot of models of different kinds,
right,
is that Erector from Q.
Oh, the one where you can change the
so
length
I just threw on the full configuration on my brother's father-in-law, and he had his Tika, and we threw it on that, and it actually didn't change the point of impact like much at all. Like he didn't have to change anything, and he was popping them.
So I assume that the 17s that you were shooting were supersonic.
Oh yeah. So
25. Did you still have to wear ear protection?
No.
No. Really?
Yeah.
So that crack wasn't that bad?
Yeah, it was very pleasant. So that was one of the highlights, was that everybody was shooting suppressed except one guy, and we made him go shoot on the other side. But shooting suppressed was very helpful. Even though you're shooting a loud cartridge, it's not super loud, but it's loud enough that it's uncomfortable. It probably damages your hearing without a suppressor.
Yeah.
It just takes that edge off, and that Q Erector, though, holy crap, that made it sound good.
Huh.
It was just a little pop sound.
I've been out bunny hunting with people using the HMR 17 suppressed, and it was still uncomfortable.
Part of it depends on where the muzzle is pointed.
Sure.
Like it kind of sounds bad, but if their muzzle is, if they're shooting to the side and you're kind of towards that side, not that they're shooting at you, but you'll hear it different than if you're like in line and they're shooting straight.
No, we stayed pretty well in line.
So
it might have been the suppressors.
Yeah, if they were using I'm going to dog on someone's favorite suppressor, like a Silencer Coast Sparrow or something.
That might have been what they were.
Then that one doesn't suppress as good as...
Yeah.
And here's the other thing I noticed. The monocore suppressors did not perform as well as the traditional K-baffle style suppressors.
Okay.
And the Erector has a bunch of modular baffles that you screw on, so it sounded way nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, but my brother shooting the air gun, he was able to take shots that we sometimes couldn't take just because of on a flat area or something. You just worry about shooting a a gun that is going at 2,500
Right.
feet per second, as well as because his was so quiet that he would shoot and miss, and the ground squirrel would just look down at the dirt flop or whatever, and then he'd get a follow-up shot. He's like, oh, I just need to hold over like 2 inches. Pop!
That's nice.
So he was able to do that. So that was the advantage of that. And so it just, the distance shots were not, and wind, those really affected it. But I was surprised how many he was popping with his air gun. So
very cool.
Yeah, if I were to do it again, I think I'd bring 2 more guns. I'd bring something that went that would just destroy them more, like a 22-250 for like some long shots, and to just just for, I don't know, get some practice with one of those guns.
Yeah.
Or and also like an air gun. I'd bring an air gun, and on some of it, when you're walking around, you can just pop them.
Yeah.
And it's like whack-a-mole,
Yeah, yeah.
So that was it was an experience.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, I got I got 90, give or take a few, the first day, and then 120 the second day.
Nice.
So 210 for that trip.
What was the overall total, you think?
I'm not sure. My nephew, he got 111.
Nice.
And my brother probably got, I would say, close to mine, but just under, because of course.
Of course.
I had to beat my brother.
He got 200.
He tied me on the second day, but I think I beat him on the first day.
Okay.
So it was weird because he counted. He was keeping track of each location, how many.
Oh.
And then I was keeping track of a total per day.
Oh.
And so then when we were in the car and he was adding them up, he's like, I got 120 today. I was like, what? That's how much I got. So anyways.
Huh.
But yeah, it was interesting also after the first day. You could see like there were badgers going
moving
out,
in,
just eating all the stuff, and then these big old buzzards, or I don't know if they were buzzards or what. They're huge blackbirds that were just maybe some kind of a vulture or something, but they were huge.
Some scavenger.
Yeah, they were just free food.
No kidding.
So
awesome.
Yeah, that was a cool experience. I had never done one of those types of shoots where you do pest control,
right,
and shoot so much.
Yeah.
The one thing about shooting a faster moving cartridge and shooting it quickly is that the barrels do get hot, and the suppressors do kick back some of the hot gases, so your barrel will heat up a little bit faster with the suppressor on. Okay. But it's totally worth it. So,
did you ever have to stop and let them cool off? Or
there was one part where I had to I took a lunch break basically.
Yeah.
Made a sandwich, and while my barrel was cooling because it got pretty hot and I was on fire, just popping them, pop, pop, pop.
Nice.
So
very cool.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's what I did with guns. Yeah. But
nice.
It was a great opportunity. I hope that I get invited next year.
Yeah.
I know that all those guys are going to show up with suppressors, their own, next year. Yeah. They were sold.
You converted them?
They're converted.
I get it.
So.
Nice.
Yeah. And then my brother, he said he wouldn't buy a gun just for, a trip, Uh-huh. He's buying a 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I got to get a 17. He's going to probably get the Tika.
Yeah.
Because that's what 2 of the guys had, and they shot really well.
Tikas are nice.
Yeah, I would say the Tika, the CZ, and even some of the Savages shoot really well.
Yeah.
That Ruger Precision Rimfire, that shot lights out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great. So
that was probably the cheapest gun out there from what it sounds like.
There was a Savage semi-auto.
Oh.
And I would say that was the gun I would not do. But I think he was... No, I'm not going to say. Maybe he needed those follow-up shots more than everybody else. But I'm not sure if it's because that gun wasn't accurate or if,
Yeah.
But anyways, it was a good time.
Nice.
Good time.
Nice.
So
Very cool.
We should plan a trip, do something like that.
Yeah, with all the time we have.
Yeah. With all our spare time, let's go.
No kidding.
But I would say if you're going to do a hunt like that, I would recommend doing it in the spring before the grass gets too tall.
Yeah.
Because then it's harder to see all those squirrels.
Yeah.
So. All right, we are over time.
Right on. Well, good times. Thanks for listening. join in next time. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but
we always have something to talk about.
But it'll be cool.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, subscribing, and stay safe, have fun.
Yep. See ya.
Okay, you can be the guy who, you're the outline.
Okay.
Jason, you are the outline for this episode. Okay.
I will be the outline.
Ready?